Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how the H2A database structures its data, and in particular about the starting form, the year profile, and the individual forms that you can use. So let's get started by double-clicking on the H2A database shortcut that should already be installed on your desktop. If it's not, or if you're not sure if you have an H2A shortcut, make sure to contact your supervisor or the supervisor of the MSFW program, and they'll get you the access you need. Once it begins, we are immediately greeted by the starting form H2A/B, or just the starting form. There's a lot you can do on here, and it's going to be the first thing you see pretty much whenever you open your database. So let's take a little time and introduce ourselves, so to speak. First of all, this is going to be an alphabetically indexed list of all of the employers that are currently active in the H2A database. Now what this means is that you can select one of them, say B&B Agri Sales or Northwestern Family Farms or Fox Honey Farm, and you can see not just the name of the employer here on the left, but also the date and time that they were added into this database. You'll notice that the Fox Honey Farms here was added in on the 12th of August 2019. So this is probably going to be a 2019 profile. More on that in a second. There's also a blank down here for the year. Just keep in mind that the way that the H2A database sort of organizes itself is that every bit of information is not just assigned an employer, but is also assigned a year. So you must make sure that you're looking up not just the right employer, but also the right year in time. There are also some command buttons at the bottom, including Approve Apparent Violations, where you can go into apparent violations that have been notified and approve them and verify them and say, here's what I did, here's what I had to do. This is going to be a little bit less useful to you as an H2A employee. Then, of course, we have H2B and H2A employers. This is going to give you a big picture view of who's working with H2A and H2B. Going to show you pretty much an entire year's worth of data in one place. Then over here, there are going to be 3 additional command buttons. View Profile, which takes the employer name and the year information that we enter and looks up the appropriate information from the database. Add Employer, which you can use to add employers, of course, to this alphabetical list. And then Save and Close, which will exit the database program and therefore access as well. So let's get started by looking up 2019's information for Fox Honey Farm. So remember, cannot stress this enough, make sure you add a year, because if you don't have a year, if there isn't a match between the employer and the year to create that that employer record, it's going to give you a blank screen. But it didn't this time. Instead, it gives us 2 particular forms. One's going to be the H2A command palette, and one's going to be the year profile. Basically, this year profile up here is going to show you the employer you're currently working with, and this command palette is going to show you what you can do with that employer. So let's have a look at some of the sections of the year profile. First of all, there's the pre-coded information here. This is going to be all of the appropriate information for Fox Honey Farm in 2019. County information, inspector information, etc., etc. You're also going to see a blank services situation over here. That's going to come into play a little bit later, but suffice it to say that the services blank is going to be where you can create effectively a case profile for this. To show what you have done with Fox Honey Farm. And then down here, there are going to be on the command palette, there's going to be a command button corresponding with each of the specific forms that you're going to use to fill out, for Fox Honey Farm. So let's say that you've just received your ETA 790 and you wanted to enter that information into the database so that it can be properly stored and analyzed. So you would first go to Fox Honey Farms 2019, and then once that's brought up, you would select the ETA 790 button, and this would bring up a form specific to that. Now, let's say that you enter the information. I'll just type in a little bit, just some test information here. And once you have this information entered here in the corresponding blanks, I want you to hit Save and Close. Now, there's no indication as yet that that information has been entered successfully, but if you click ETA 790 again, you'll notice that at the bottom of the screen it now says 2 of 2. It's saying that we are on the second record of 2 total records, which means we can go backwards to the first record where we can see the information that we've entered, or forwards to a blank one. Now this is going to allow you to edit existing information, to delete some existing information. Keep in mind that you cannot fully delete a form that's been entered into the system. If you do need to delete an existing form, just jot down the number down here for the current record and send that information in to your immediate supervisor, and they'll be able to remove the information from the database. And of course, if you click Close without saving, it will close the current file without creating a new form for Fox Honey Farms. But instead, we're just going to re-enter our test data, click Save and Close, and there we are. Now, there's a lot more you can do with the year profile system, but we'll get into that in a further module. Just know that when it's time for you to enter this information into the database, whether it's an ETA 790 form, a housing inspection list, a calculation of job order end date, anything that you want to do that's associated with a single employer, that can be done here from the year profile and command palette. So once we're done entering our information for now, we're just going to click Close Profile here, and then Save and Close to close out of the database overall.